Hello there, welcome to this session. So we're looking at how you become a soul whisperer. And as a soul whisperer, how, if you want to, do you get into that position where people want to pay you for that service? And you can use it as part of your life income, as a side income, or even for many people, turns into your main income, especially if you feel that calling. You can feel that calling deep within you. Now, I like doing this kind of stuff. I like showing you how to become the best of who you are as an intuitive sensitive, because it's your time. It's your time to stop sitting there thinking, I can feel something, I can feel an urgency inside of myself, almost as though you're getting fidgety. I can feel an urgency. I feel like I want to contribute. I feel like I want to find a sense of purpose. I'm bored of my job. I'm bored of my environment. I know that something wants to change. I know I need it to change, but I'm scared. I'm a little bit scared. I'm scared of allowing myself to become who I feel that I really am, just in case. Just in case what? Just in case it's rejected, just in case I'm not wanted, just in case it doesn't give me the feeling I expect it to. Well, the truth is that you are now at that time, that position, because it's the best time ever to be at that time in that position, to allow yourself that indulgence of who you are. Why? Is it because it's a time of indulgence? No, it's a time of a depth of understanding, a depth of learning, and a depth that everybody wants to understand about themselves. And for you as an intuitive sensitive to be able to give that depth gives you a unique place in this world, a place in this world where perhaps previously you thought, oh, well, people reject you for it. It's all, too sensitive, hocus pocus kind of stuff, intuitive. Am I really? Is it common sense? All of that kind of thing, or how you make those excuses in your mind. I get it. I completely understand that. I used to do that myself, massively. And I think to a certain extent, it never really entirely goes away, because if you think about it, no one questions an accountant. An accountant can put numbers together, etc., and it's a given. It's a thing that people get, people understand. But what you're now hopefully beginning to realize in this world, that people are beginning to understand that direction as far as a deeper part of themselves is concerned, that soul calling. And you have that unique ability to be able to go there, to be able to access that special place within yourself. So we are looking at how to become a soul whisperer so people listen and want to pay you. So what is a soul whisperer? A soul whisperer is someone who can hear the unconscious. Okay, they can hear the unconscious of a person, whether that is themselves or whether that is another individual. That's what it means. A soul whisperer is someone who can hear the unconscious of a person. That person can't hear themselves. So a soul whisperer can hear the unconscious of that person that they can't hear themselves, that person cannot hear themselves. It's pushing, it's trying to communicate with them, but they can't hear it themselves. So a soul whisperer is that person who interprets for them. So why would anyone want to hear their unconscious? It's something that's been done for centuries. It's part of human development. It's part of who we are. We're known as those intuitive sensitives. We were set aside in one time or another as the sages, the people who had a powerful understanding of scenarios, situations, who could feel a deeper sense of what was going on. And the reason someone would want to read their unconscious is simply because it is neuroscience. Okay, part of that is it's a neuroscience, according to neuroscience studies, the unconscious accounts for 95% of your world. The unconscious accounts for 95% of your world, anyone's world. So yes, that's 95% of what goes on for a person. They have no conscious perception of. Okay? They only have that conscious perception of 5% of their world. That means all of their why questions can be answered by the unconscious. That's why they would want to know. Okay? So they have no conscious perception of it, and all of their why questions can be answered. Why does this happen? Why does that happen? All of those questions can be answered by the unconscious. Why they always meet people with relationship issues. Why they can't get their finances sorted out. Why they get so far with their health. Oh, wow, I'm just working this out. My health's been a bit choppy recently. I've been doing this, I've been doing that. Oh, it's all going, it's really trotting along. They get so far, and then it all goes wrong for them. They think, why? What did I do? What did I do so wrong? Even things like why their ex always gets away with it and comes out unscathed. I've heard that one numerous times. Why does my ex-so-and-so, ex-boss, ex-husband, ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, why do they get to behave in that way? And they always seem to come out unaffected and unscathed. What is that about? All of those answers can be found in a person's unconscious. So all of those questions all lie in the part of them that they don't speak to, okay? Much like if you imagine how you've probably heard that term, you're thinking a whisperer. I've heard that term before. A horse whisperer, okay? Much like a horse whisperer would talk to a wild horse and get it to do something like lie down and roll over for them. Okay, a wild horse, something that seems untamed. And how do they do it? Think, wow, how can that person do that? How do they do it? Using body language. So how does that work as far as a person is concerned? A soul whisperer uses discovery questions. Okay, a soul whisperer uses discovery questions to draw the communication of the unconscious to the surface. Now, this isn't to be mistaken with cold reading, okay? Maybe you've heard of this idea of cold reading, which is someone will I feel someone whose name begins with the letter S. Oh, yes, that's me. Oh, yes, Sir Sarah? Oh, yeah, that's me. That's a fishing expedition, okay? That's not looking at things in the unconscious. That's a fishing expedition. Asking questions until you get the right answer is cold reading. Okay, that's cold reading. Discovery questions, the soul answers. Okay, think of the soul as this. Everyone has an awareness of their soul, whether it's a conscious awareness or not. You know it's there. You can feel it. You have this kind of awareness of something deeper that for some they never really want to explore because they think that it must be something full of shadows rather than something amazing, something that they want to connect with. They do think, oh, it's something I want to connect with, but whenever they see it as that, they often see it as something outside of themselves. So discovery questions are the questions that the soul answers. Okay, the soul will answer discovery questions. And they are curiosity questions that the unconscious wants to answer. When you access this area of a person's life, what happens for them? What really happens for them? It's a massive relief to them. Why? It's a massive relief because it's as though a background tension, what's been stored in their unconscious, suddenly has an opening. It has a voice. Okay? So for you, your purpose as a soul whisperer is to give a person, that's what that calling is, to give that person a voice to that unconscious part, which is the tension that builds in them, in their system, when part of them is trying to communicate and they can't hear it. For you as a soul whisperer, you come along to give that gentle relief for a part of them to go, oh wow, here we go. I can get to communicate. I can get to say something. You know how it is. If you've had something that's stored inside of you, and this is consciously for a long time, you think, oh, I just got to tell someone. I've got to tell someone. I've got to tell someone. And then you tell someone and you go, oh, that was a relief. Can you imagine if, or as it is, that 95% of a person's world is trapped in that position? So for you as a soul whisperer, that's what your job is. Your job is to release that tension. And to release that tension by giving interpretation, access to that part of that person's world, 95%. Okay? Even if you were just to relieve a weeny teeny bit. That's massive for anybody. Huge. Because it's a lot more than they currently have. Okay? And that part of them suddenly has an opening. It has a voice. It's a huge relief. The unconscious is the reason people have problems in their life. Okay? It's the reason they have problems. They have unresolved historical conversations, okay, that are going on in the unconscious that run their entire life. Those conversations run their entire life. For instance, these can be survival patterns, okay, stored for many generations, or something that's just specific to that person's life. So if something's been stored, a survival pattern that's been stored for many generations, it can be something like, the unconscious. And the unconscious doesn't take in emotion. The unconscious takes in instruction. So if there's been an unconscious survival pattern that's gone on for many generations, okay, that's stored in someone's unconscious, and it's not relevant right now, especially if they're wanting to push something forward in their life. Some of these survival patterns can be things like we have a survival pattern through our generations, which means that we believe deep in our unconscious that we are going to starve if change occurs in our life. That's disruptive. Because guess what happens? There's an awful lot of change now. May not have been 300 years ago, but there's an awful lot now. Very fast change. So if you're unconscious, or that person who you're a soul whisperer for, unconscious believes that change means survival's not going to happen, it's not a possibility, guess what their unconscious is going to do? It's going to kick up a hell of a big pile of anxiety, worry, for no apparent reason. And that person then internalizes that as a deep pain that they can't escape from. Soul whisperer's job comes along and goes, actually, I can see where this comes from. This is a pattern that showed up in 2-3 generations ago for this particular reason. And you think, wow, does it come up with that much detail? Yes, it does when you know how. It comes up with incredible detail. And that person will then say, whoa, that's interesting. Whether that's real or not, that feels real to me. That feels real to me. And then that becomes that relief. Okay? Even if that's just something that's specific to that person's life, could have occurred in their own occasion. Maybe that example that happened to that person a while back. I have many examples of people who've been going through or who've had relationship difficulties, as an example. Why does my partner do this? Why does my partner do that? Why can't I communicate with them? Why are they so difficult? Well, the unconscious says it's got actually nothing to do with them. It reminds you of a particular occasion in your life, and sometimes it will say, that person's unconscious will say when that occasion was. So I've seen it many, many times where they give specific examples, and so I say, oh, this really strong feeling that I had one the other very recently, which was very odd, bizarrely. It was showing me in terms of pirates, and I was thinking, whoa, what's pirates got to do with anything? So I said, oh, this is weird. This is relating to something, and it's almost like Pirates of the Caribbean. And your unconscious wants to show me that as a representation. And they literally went, oh my God, that's weird. That's really weird. I went, why? Because my partner is obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean and really wanted me to watch it the other day. And I said, I don't want to. And they said, actually, I went to bed. I don't want to watch it. I'm not interested. I said, oh, you're not interested because your unconscious was trying to show you this old pattern that causes pain from much earlier in your life. And it wants to give it to you as a symbolism through pirates, and your partner is kind of picking that up, which is why it's obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean and trying to make you watch it. She went, oh gosh. Felt an immediate release and relief from the situation that had been causing a deep anxiety, to the extent where she said to me, she said, guess what, Heidi? For the first time ever, since we've been looking at this, looking deep into this part of who I am, she said, for the first time ever, I've had no anxiety. She said, you've got no idea what that feels like. That's the importance of what I'm saying to you, of why you can feel, if you do feel that calling in terms of wanting to be a soul whisperer. Okay, so it shows you as repeating patterns. Okay, shows repeating situations that they can't resolve, can then resolve person. So illogical anxiety, or something that keeps bugging them but they can't find the answer for. You could say, well, isn't that just therapy? Therapy often addresses what is conscious for the person, okay? And it takes a long time because it's dependent on the person's willingness to access what's going on. But if most of their world is unconscious, how do they know what's going on? How do they know? How do they know what they want to access? Which isn't easy for the unconscious to release if it thinks whatever it's storing is a survival mechanism. A soul whisperer can skip all that, okay? You can skip all that. That's what your empathic abilities are for. Okay, that's what it's there for. It's not there to torment you. It's there as an access point to be able to bypass all that. A soul whisperer can skip all of that. It's the plus part of being an intuitive sensitive. When you ask the right discovery questions, the unconscious will immediately, not even, it will immediately reveal what it needs to. Okay, it will immediately reveal it. So things like treatments such as CBT, which is something you maybe have heard, cognitive behavioral therapy, something that's very popular and it has been the kind of in thing for quite a few years now, which is to try and deal with people's anxieties en masse. Even things like neuro-linguistic programming, which aren't nearly as popular as it used to be. NLP used to be something kind of late 90s, early 2000s. CBT has become something more, maybe in the last 10 years or so, where it's become more of something that's well known for people. Treatments such as that, so cognitive behavioral therapy, and other frameworks are, yes, of course, trying to access the unconscious. But the limitation is how much inner work the therapist has done, in my opinion. Okay? Because if that therapist doesn't know how their own unconscious works, how the hell are they going to know what their clients is doing? Okay? How are they going to know what that person's survival mechanism is going to kick up from the unconscious in order to try and block their process? This is why something like CBT, people will often say, oh, well, cognitive behavioral therapy works in certain situations. Yes. Quite often, certain recent situations. They don't work on the history that's creating the recent situation. Okay? And so if that therapist doesn't even know how their own unconscious works, why the hell would they know what their clients is doing? And then what happens? It becomes a projection fest. Okay? Projection is that one person projects onto another person. This idea, so let's say the client thinks, oh, you as a therapist, your behavior reminds me of my mother. And then they start acting that out. And then it becomes back and go, oh, you're a really difficult client. You remind me of my sister. Oh, it's a projection fest. Nothing is solved because one is projecting onto the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. The client projects onto the therapist and the therapist creates. They go, oh, that's a projection. Creates a defense strategy. Go, oh, let's keep that out. Rather than an empathy strategy, which is, how do I ask the unconscious the right discovery questions to be able to release this pain for this person? It becomes a defense strategy. Right, now I'm going to create this big wall between us. And the person then begins to feel guilty for accessing emotion. You go, oh, I better tuck that one away. Both are then blocks to the unconscious. So you overcome that by training your own inner world, This is one of the key things as a soul whisperer. You must train your own inner world. You cannot skip that part. You cannot become this lording it over another person. Okay? You have to own your own wounds. You can't skip around them. You overcome that by training your own inner world to observe rather than absorb. Because as soon as you go into the absorption, you're going into judgment, righteousness. You're going into defense, push it away, get it off me. And you could say, well, you know what? Heidi, I feel everything. I can feel everybody else as well. I think that's too much for me. That's too much for me. I can't be a soul whisperer because do you know what? I'm going to absorb everybody else's world. I can't observe it. I feel everything. And you think I don't? Of course I feel everything. It's my job to feel everything. It's a soul whisperer's job to experience that. To experience the power of observation, of being able to observe what it's like to experience another world, another person's world. Why? Because then you really know. You know how to communicate with that person's unconscious. So they can find solutions. Not go, I absorb everything. I used to do that, for sure. Of course. Absolutely. I felt absolutely obliterated and knocked over by other people's energy numerous times in the past. But that's why you do the inner work. Okay? The inner work is your protection. The inner work, your own inner work, gives you the ability to observe rather than absorb, and gives you the ability to also make sure that you're not projecting your own wounds onto another person, and they then can project them onto you. So how you deal with that? Okay, so how you deal with that, overcome the training, etc., for your own inner world to observe rather than absorb. We haven't got time to go through all of that now. I haven't got time to go into all that. That's a whole other space and time continuum to go into. That's all part of ICM, which is Intuition Coaching Mastermind. I haven't got time to go through all that. So the question is why? Why would you want to be a soul whisperer? It's two things. Okay? You'd want to because it's both a calling and it satisfies an intuitive sensitive's inner drive for self-improvement. Okay? So without doubt, every intuitive sensitive, and you think to yourself, well, I know I'm sensitive, but I'm not sure I'm an intuitive sensitive, Heidi. I'm not sure I'm intuitive enough. If you've got an inner drive, you're an intuitive sensitive. Intuitive sensitives have an inner drive. It's not even, oh, I fancy doing that. It's an inner drive. It's one you can't stop for self-improvement. And you might have tried, oh yes, I'm going to give up on this self-improvement world for a while. Yes, I'm going to concentrate on what? You find yourself back on it. You go, oh, that didn't last long. You can't help yourself but find that path for self-improvement. So it's two things. It's both a calling. So soul whispering is both a calling and it satisfies an intuitive sensitive's inner drive for self-improvement. Why? Because you discover more about yourself through other people's unconscious world. Okay? It gives indications of that. Why? Because we're all connected. We're all part of that. We're all part of a grand unconscious, as Jung would call it. Huge, the collective unconscious. So we have our own personal unconscious and we have a collective one as well. We're all part of that. So guess what? Soul whispering is about. It's improving your relationship with the collective conscious as well as individual and personal consciousness. And people beg, I'm not kidding, they beg to pay a soul whisperer. Why would someone beg to pay a soul whisperer? You don't beg to pay accountant. You don't beg to pay your rent. So why would you beg to pay a soul whisperer? Because people do that because they offer the greatest relief ever. That's why. That's why people beg to pay a soul whisperer. Over the years, I've been made incredible offers for different things. By no means have I ever taken all of them. But people have made outlandish offers. Why? Because soul whispering offers a unique and greatest ever relief for people. If you can imagine the biggest pain that someone can be in. Okay, I'll give you an example. The biggest pain that I've seen a mother in, okay, the biggest pain I've seen a mother in is where their adolescent child is going through an experience where they're at school and they want to make an effort, they want to work, but their child doesn't quite fit a particular mold, doesn't quite fit in with things, maybe is a little bit quirky, a bit different, but of their own character, their own person that's a bit doesn't follow the mold. Surely you want to encourage that. A mother would want to encourage that, of course. But then that child finds herself tormented by emotional bullying. Physical? No, because physical shows bruises at least. Or evidence. Emotional? No evidence. Can't really tie it down. And the biggest pain I've seen, one of the biggest pains I've seen, is for that mother to just have no idea what to do. But that mother can see that their child is desperate, so desperate, that that child is considering finishing their own life when it's just beginning. And that mother has no idea what to do. None. The whole world is stuck. The father doesn't know what to do. The child's father doesn't know what to do. The child's grandparents don't know what to do. The child's aunt doesn't know what to do. The child's doctor doesn't know what to do. The child's psychologist doesn't know what to do. No idea. She asked me, what the hell do I do, Heidi? I don't know what to do. But I know what to do as a soul whisperer. I know to talk to the unconscious. That's what I did. Spoke to the child, adolescent. I thought, her unconscious knew how to fix it. Couldn't be heard. I heard it, interpreted, just said, all I said was, this is the guidance that it offers. You know. This is what it says. Bullying was stopped in a very, very short period of time. And the two culprits, emotional bullying, when this child's unconscious presented the solution, the two culprits, the headmaster of this child's school said to me, what do I do? He genuinely didn't know what to do. He said, I don't know what to do. What do I do with these two children who are bullying? Because I can't pin it down. I said, oh, don't worry. It's resolved on an unconscious level. I said, they'll either start to behave or they'll leave. One left. One started to behave. And that adolescent now is now a long way into her teens, absolutely fine. Has done all her exams, passed them with flying colours, is a happy soul. Maybe she'll still in future, in her adult life, have other things that show up in her life that then trigger her unconscious. But soul whispering gave her an access point to be able to solve that, should that ever show up in her future. And that's your job. Okay, it's not just my job, that's your job too, if you feel the calling. Sure enough, for me, it was a calling. I never chose this route, okay? I never went, oh yes, I know what I'm going to do. A long time ago, I did a bog standard corporate job for 5 minutes. It didn't last very long because it didn't talk to me. Soul whispering did. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to access it. I just listened. I followed the calling until I understood. I've been doing this for, how old am I? 25 years. That's how long I've been doing this. I haven't done anything else for 25 years. And I have more work than I will ever be able to complete. What does that say? That says a lot about the demand for soul whispering. Okay? So people beg for the services of a soul whisperer because they offer the greatest relief ever from the pressures of the unconscious. But it's not labelled that, okay? It's not the pressures of the unconscious, it's not labelled that. It's labelled relief. The pressure has gone. Pressure that they don't necessarily know how to label or to explain what it is. And they'll say things like, I feel better and I don't know why. And quite honestly, why wouldn't you want to do a job that leads another person to happiness? Why would you put your own insecurities first and doubt yourself? Why wouldn't you want to do a job that leads another person to happiness? And they appreciate you. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to make a difference to someone's life? Happiness doesn't come in things. Okay? But you think, oh, of course it does. You know, happiness comes in things. People will be happy when they have this, or happy than that, when they have a basic level of security, when they have this and they have that. Happiness doesn't come in things, no matter what consumer advertising tells you. Okay? If you buy this house, you're going to have this life. Well, no, people still have the same pressures. They still feel the same. I have a friend, as an example, who has everything. More money than he can ever spend. A lovely partner that he's been married to since he was barely into the beginnings of his 20s. He's got model, super intelligent children. They're the model children who are super intelligent. Houses in luxury locations. A garage full of cars. Is he fulfilled? No. He's searching for the opportunity to contribute beyond things. He hasn't found it. Happiness comes from a state of being. That state of being happens in contributing and receiving. Okay? You contribute and the client receives. I can say all this, but you'd still say to me, or say to yourself, But honey, how do I know I'm good enough for any of that? It's all right for you. How would I know that I'm good enough? You don't know. You don't know. It's a calling. If you feel it, you'll learn. Same as I did. Okay? That's how I did it. I had a foundation of intuitive sensitivity and then built on it. Scared. Of course I was scared. Really? Everyone starts out scared. That's part of the process. But it was a calling. Okay? 75,000 people later, I know a few things about soul whispering. But I still started out in the same place as everybody else. You'll say, but Heidi, what if I get things wrong? Well, yeah. What if you get things wrong? You have a format that's a kind of check to make sure that you notice when you get things wrong. When you notice that maybe you're going, this energy's feeling a bit quirky here. I need to straighten something out. Oh, this reminds me of something. Is this going to be a projection? Oh, am I being overrun by this person's ego? Oh, are they trying to distract me from something through aggression? Interesting. How do you know those things? What if you get things wrong? Well, that's why I use a format. Okay, that's why I use what I call the unconscious to freedom model. Okay, and I use that when I teach soul whispering for that very reason, to make sure that you can check, because that's exactly what I do. Now it's automatic. I've done it so many times, it's automatic. It gives you a format to work to pull forward the unconscious communication, not to have an argument with someone's conscious world or their denial, or the end up going around the back door. And the unconscious communicates. You never have to actually have an argy-bargy or an argument or go, I'm going to get this wrong. You stick to the format. You have a format, okay? You're then a lot more confident. And when you're confident, you'll discover, okay? You'll then discover. As I say right at the beginning, it's about the discovery questions, okay? But Heidi, who will want my service if I do soul whispering? You'd be amazed how many people want it, okay? More, as I said, than I can ever cope with. I've had the most cynical people say to me, Heidi, I don't believe in what you do. And I've said, okay, you don't. And? Well, shouldn't you convince me? I've said, let me think about that. Thought about it. Nope. They've then gone all kind of quiet and sort of and wandered off. Okay? Then they come back to me. It's usually, weirdly, at a party or a function or something, when maybe they've then gone off and had a drink or two and have the courage to then ask. And they come back and say, please though, Heidi, will you take me on as a client? Wait, what? Why? You just told me, well, I need to get this. People want to know about their world. That's what they want to know. They want to understand. They want to know. They want to have some kind of conversation with it. They want to have some understanding, and they don't want to be judged. They want someone to empathize with them. They want someone to understand them. Exactly what you want. Okay? When you have a relationship with the unconscious and you actively participate within that, it gives you that, exactly, it gives you that communication. People want to know. They want to know about their world. They want relief from internal pressure. That's what they want. If you have a format that gives them that relief, genuine relief, not some hopeful patter, some, waffly patter. I mean, actually genuine relief. They are so grateful for that. Okay? So why wouldn't you want to do that if you can feel that as a calling? Why wouldn't you? Doesn't make sense. Or if you're trying to resist it, but it still is a calling, it's not going to go away. I tried to resist for ages. Really? Tried for ages to resist, but no, it's a calling. Okay, it's here we go. So it comes down to this. If you want to be a soul whisperer where people listen and they want to pay you for that service, number one, get to know your own inner world. Okay? It's not enough to just be intuitive. I'm talking soul whispering. It's deeper than I've got a crystal ball. Let's have a look. You're going to meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger. It's deeper than that. Much, much deeper. It's a more emotionally connected dynamic. So number one, the crucial part is get to know your own inner world. It's not enough just to be intuitive, okay? Because when you know your inner world, you can ask the right discovery questions, okay? Number two, train your inner world to observe rather than absorb, okay? I've told you that. I've given you an example of that, of why that's really important. It protects you from feeling overwhelmed by other people's energies, and it also protects you from projection, because then you don't make the projection fest mistakes that an awful lot of therapists make. And number three, use a consistent process or model to access the unconscious, okay? That's important. Why? Because it will reduce your own anxiety about getting things wrong, and it will increase your accuracy, okay? Because you'll get better at recognizing false roots, the shadow aspects, and simply someone else's ego screaming at you. Because, face it, we're all human, okay? You're human too. So you don't want other, people's things that they won't own screaming and shouting at you. So if you've got a format or a model to work to, it will reduce your own anxiety about getting things wrong. You're not going to get caught up in that. So as soon as you get caught up in this idea, I'm going to get things wrong, you can't think. You definitely can't go into a communication with a deep part of somebody else. You've got to calm your whole world down. But if you're working to a model or a framework, it means that it gives you your guidance navigation system to get yourself back in case you do come up against, false roots, roots that people want to kind of shove you down, shadow aspects, or someone else's ego screaming at you. If soul whispering calls you, then let me teach you how to do it properly, okay? Let me show you how to contribute, to make a difference. And if you want to, an additional income. Why wouldn't you want to? Where people are grateful to pay you for that service by offering soul whispering sessions to a very high standard. I'm not talking about basic, I'm talking a high standard. Okay? A high standard that you're proud of. Let me teach you how to do that. It's not an overnight job for sure. So I'm not going to say to you, oh, you can do this in 5 minutes flat. No, I'm not going to tell you that, because there are 7 stages. And also, you have to do the inner work. You can't bypass that. And the inner work is all part of that process. Okay? It's all part of it. It's not separate from, it's all part of that process. And it's not an overnight job, for sure. But there are 7 stages. And through those, the other side of those 7 stages, you'll know, okay? You'll know you'll be able to do it. You'll know if you're able to do it. You'll know that you want to do it. And then from there on, it's just about confidence, okay? And it's very healthy to doubt yourself, because you'll never then be complacent or righteous to a client. Always, doubt is always healthy, okay, in my view. Because, as I say, you'll never then be complacent or righteous to a client. But if you don't want to do it, and you think, I don't think I want to do it, then admit it to yourself now. Admit it to yourself that you don't want to do it. Stop hoping one day, because one day doesn't come. You say, oh, well, maybe one day. One day doesn't come. It does not come, okay? One day is a now day or never. That's something I learnt several years ago. And it doesn't mean that you have a life where it's trouble-free and nothing comes up and all this kind of stuff. If you're a soul whisperer, it means that you know how to begin to deal with that. And I learned a very, very strong lesson nearly 9 years ago, that one day is a now day. Okay? One day is a now day or never. And I learned that through the fact that I came up against this powerful part of my own unconscious that needed to go, whoa, hang on. This needs to be a strong commitment here. Are you in? Or are you out? I found myself on a surgeon's table, basically, and they lost me 4 times in that operation, 4 times. But I knew before they put me on anaesthetic that there was a very real risk of that. It was made very clear to me. There was a very real risk of that. And as I was going under, I made a vow. And I thought to myself, if I come out the other side of this, if I do live, then I'm going to live every day without regret. I am going to decide that it's never someday. Someday is now. Either make a decision and, someday is, you think, well, not everything can be done in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, all that kind of thing. No, it wasn't. But there's a commitment to it. So my one day is a now day or never day. And it has been for 9 years. And I can absolutely say to you 100%, I have not lived one of those days in 9 years. Not a single day with regret. None. All my decisions are made as nowadays, because I realised just how fragile life really is, and how Most people don't live it. They exist. And I would say that day, even though I've been doing this for 25 years, that day I really decided. Okay, so stop hoping that one day, because one day doesn't come. Okay, if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to, then admit it to yourself. Let yourself off. Okay, stop pressuring yourself for a one day and decide, hey, it's a never day. It's a never day. I don't want that. I don't want to give myself that pressure. And then you'll feel better. You'll feel a lot better. If though you can feel soul whispering is part of you, or possibly part of you, then let me help you do it. Give yourself the opportunity. Let me help you do it. Okay? Join Intuition Coaching Mastermind. New season starts this month. You've probably never heard of it before, even if you've known me for a long time, because I don't open it. It's rarely opened. Okay? But this new season starts this month, and it's open now. Okay? It's open, but it doesn't stay open. Don't leave it open indefinitely. It doesn't stay open. Intuition Coaching Mastermind is very strictly limited to 60 places. Okay? Because I then know each person. I want to know each person who I'm training has a soul whisperer. Okay? My other levels are not as limited. Some levels are limited, but they're a higher number of people, and then other levels aren't limited or not as limited. But this one is the one, aside from working with me one-to-one, obviously, because that's one-to-one, it's limited, and I don't let anybody in over that. That's why you think, oh, I've known Heidi for years, I've never heard of this. Well, I didn't know she taught this. Didn't know she did this. No, because you wouldn't, because you haven't seen it, because it's not shown very often. Okay? And I did that. It's limited because then I know each person who's in there, that you're not just unfamiliar. I know then each person that's in there. I can see you. It's easy to do. It's easy to do. It's an online commitment. Okay? I teach you the unconscious to freedom model, and then you practice it there and then. Okay? Under my supervision. In a very protected environment. Because then you'll relax enough to let yourself learn how to do it properly. So decide. It's fine if you don't want to, but it's great if you do. And if you feel the calling, absolutely. So decide by visiting HeidiSawyer.com/coaching. Okay, just go there and decide. Go do that now. And if you have any questions, post them in the chat, and I'll have a look at them now for the next few minutes. Okay, for the next 5-10 minutes or so. Okay, this is interesting. Yes, this is Tracy. Yes, understanding the unconscious helps as a therapist. It helps with my practice in CBT projection impacts in different parts of therapy too, i.e. counselling, EMDR, etc. In fact, any healing others dynamic. Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer, so true. Cannot stop doing self-improvement. That's Nicola. That's true. Once you've started, so what I said about self-improvement, Okay. So Tracy's talking about, she's in Intuition Coaching Mastermind, saying you learn a lot about yourself too. Jennifer, powerful. I know what to do as a soul whisperer. Yep. Okay, brilliant. Oh, that's nice. Nindy, I hope I haven't pronounced your name incorrectly. I see a fluorescent light blue aura around you, Heidi. Wow. Nice. Lisa, hi, I've been with you for a while, and for some reason today, what you said pieced the concrete wall that's in my brain. You're a wizard. Okay, so Eileen, Heidi, I've learnt a lot from you, but I keep failing to take action, probably because I'm a life code 3 on the pause line. What is my unconscious trying to say about this? Well, it's like everything. You know, often we'll pause in life, or we'll stop in life dead because we're afraid of failure. We think, well, if I just stop myself and I don't do anything, I can't fail. But the unconscious keeps trying to push you and say, come on, let's just see. What if we don't fail? But what if we do? Okay, so it becomes this tussle between, and then one day you either have to choose or it chooses for you. And I would say, as an intuitive sensitive, you have the opportunity to choose before it chooses for you, because for many people, chooses for them because they can't hear, so it forces them, it forces something different to occur in their life, and quite often that's not something very comfortable. So I think when we're scared and we stop, what it's about is the fear of failure. So for me personally, I think we've all dealt with the fear of failure. It's the inner work. Inner work takes you beyond the fear of failure. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Is it possible to be too young to do this? Too young to do this? I'm not sure what that means. Does it mean you have to be 100 years old? Or does it mean that you are under 18? I'm not really quite sure what that means. I think, you know, if we're talking about young people, there's a lot of very young people with very old souls. And there's a lot of old people with very young souls. So, you know, if you're talking about, are you ever too young to learn emotional maturity? In my view, possibly not. Hi, Heidi, is there a way to combine this calling with my other soul calling, creativity? Well, if you think about the energy of creativity, what is creativity? Creativity is another word for love. Okay, so creativity is an energy that is expressed, that is the same energy that is expressed as far as love is concerned. It has different outlets. Okay, hi Heidi, I signed up because I love to go deeper and know myself better. Also, I like the idea of observing and not absorbing. I think that's very important in life. Who wants to repeat patterns over and over again? Thank you so much for teaching and supporting me. Okay. Hi. Oh, Rosetta. Hi Heidi, lovely to see you again. Elisa, I'm coming from the States where people seem to want to sue everything that breathes. Do you have some kind of insurance to protect yourself? I do have insurance, and I have an awful lot of American clients. An awful lot of American clients. It's something, I think, with any line of responsibility, it's about, if you look at things along the lines of managing expectation, okay? So when you're doing soul whispering work, you are accessing something that feels like a person's truth. And you are, I think one of the very important things is to communicate it in a way that is empathic to that person, that individual. And that is a skill. And I think that skill develops again with inner work. Yeah, I think it's a skill that develops with inner work. I would say for me personally, I am very aware of how I choose to interact with people. And I always have gone on from the basis of it. And as far as other people are concerned, is I always approach things how I would like to receive them. Okay. And in 25 years, that's served well. That's all I can say as far as that's concerned. Okay, thank you, Heidi. Yes, where do we begin with the inner work? Which course is best for me at this time? I'd like this one. Okay, well, the inner work comes. All of this comes in with the 3 different levels. So generally, there's 3 different levels of working with me that is outside of one-to-one. Okay, so that's a whole different area. That's Heidi Unlimited. That's a whole different area. So level 1 is at the stage of the archetypes. Okay, so that's included within Intuition Coaching Mastermind. Okay, level 2 is level of understanding yourself, which is working through the path, and that's the enlightenment. That's the enlightenment path. Okay, which again is all part of the full Intuition Coaching Mastermind program. And then level 3 is the soul whispering component, which is learning how to interpret other people's unconscious world. Okay, so it works in 3 levels. You can join at level 1, okay, which is understanding the components of yourself, which is the archetypes. You can then, or you can join at level 2 level, which means you get level 1 and level 2, which is the archetypes, and then the enlightenment path, which is very much about the inner work, okay? Or the enlightenment path, or the Intuition Coaching Mastermind, which is the whole lot, okay? You don't have to think about it. You just show up, basically. You just show up. You show up, do the work, press play. It's everything is worked out for you. Okay, it's worked out for you. So if you imagine, right, so I've got here these little Russian dolls. Okay, so if you imagine that all of these are different parts that you are revealing. Okay, so as an example, here we go. I'll show you. Hang on, can't see it yet. So imagine, put them all together. So, okay, so imagine this is you, okay? And then you have another layer to you. And then you have another layer to you. Okay? And then you have this core bit that sits in the middle. So Intuition Coaching Mastermind is working through all of those levels. All of those levels. Okay? The other programs that I offer, so level 1, level 2, are components of that. Okay? So it's components of understanding those levels. So you've got the inner part of you. Okay? The core inner part of you, if you think about this, is the child. Everyone has one of these. You started off as one of these. People have parts of that world that's never been healed. Okay? It's never been healed. And it rattles around in them. And their unconscious messaging keeps trying to communicate this part. But if you know what this part is, and you know how it operates, the whole of you isn't disturbed by it. Okay? So it depends. It depends what levels or layers that you want to work through. Not everyone wants to do that all at the same time. It's not everyone's calling to do that. It's not everyone's thing. There's different, layers of how you operate. You could look at this, okay? The big component of who you are. Even bigger part of who you are. Okay? It's multi-layered. Let's say, look, the big part, next part, next part, next part, and the diddy self. All put together in one that you call the whole. Okay? Hopefully that gives you a picture. Okay, so I've already done Intuition Coaching Mastermind. Will there be a point in doing it a second time? Okay, so when we are talking about seasons, those of you who have done a previous season, are you doing the same thing again? No. It's never the same again. If you're looking at different, you will understand the unconscious to freedom model a lot better, but you're never doing the same thing again because you are taking your own perception to a new level of understanding. Okay, so you could look at this, look at the detail on that. If you just saw that bit, is that an indication of the whole? If you looked at that, but you only saw that, is that an indication of the whole? Whereas if you build upon an understanding of all the different facets and the components of that, would you feel more confident? Of course you would. Oh, excellent, Suzanne. Hello, Heidi. I've done a lot of inner work and feeling the calling, so I just signed up. Looking forward to getting started, no matter where I may end up in a few months. Oh, superb. Excellent. Okay. Oh, hang on. What's this? I had a dream about this moment would come, like a light switch would be turned on. That happened yesterday, and I received the email and signed up as a member immediately. Once signed up, I saw the first hummingbird ever in my yard. Oh, wow. And a huge monarch butterfly started fluttering around me. It felt so magical and freeing, and that feeling hasn't left me. Oh, that's really, really nice. I'm going to get all emotional at that. Okay, that's brilliant. That's on the... Oh, really? Right, Okay, so let me just show you something. Because I thought this is what you were referring to. I thought you'd seen it. Let me just show you this. talking about hummingbirds, I thought this is what you'd seen. This is about discovering your sensitivity superpower. I thought we had released it, but we haven't. Apparently we haven't. So there you go, Janet. That's what you're picking up on. That's the hummingbird. I thought that's what you were talking about. Okay, brilliant. Well, superb, see? Okay, so have we any other questions that we need to have a look at? Okay. Oh, excellent. Hello, Heidi. I really enjoyed that talk to help me understand me more. I've been a self-improver all my life. I did doubt it for me and that I'm able to. I want to help people really make a difference. I'm always one for the art eye. Okay, can you start soul whispering to clients as soon as you finish the course? Yes, of course. Part of the process of that is that being part of Intuition Coaching Mastermind is that I give you access to other layers of my world. Okay, so for you to be able to practice in a very safe environment, and that's very encouraged. So you're encouraged to help discover yourself as a guide so that you can access yourself as a guiding influence. And then another part that I give you access to is, or I encourage, only for Intuition Coaching Mastermind people, is to be able to use the unconscious to freedom model to practice in a protected environment outside of the sessions. Okay. Okay. Niti, I can't see the query. So let me just have a look. Okay, so let me just have a little look. Oh, okay. So will the coaching sessions be at this time of day? I live in Singapore and it's 2 a.m. now. I'm afraid they are, Nidhi. But the coaching sessions for Intuition Coaching Mastermind, they're all set out, so you will know which day it is for those over those 7 month period where you have to get up at silly o'clock. It's not, the other sessions, because there are other sessions that you would be doing. That one key one, I would say that yes, you would have to get up at 2 a.m. for. That's one key one that you would have to do on a monthly basis, where you'd need to get up at 2 a.m. The others, everything has replays. Okay, everything has replays. So if you can't make things live, doesn't mean to say that you can't submit your questionnaire, that you can't submit your progress, you can't do all of that. Doesn't mean that at all, because all of that is submitted before the live session. So I pick things out for those particular live sessions. So if you can't make a session live, doesn't mean to say that your stuff isn't utilized, because yes, it will be utilized, because I pick stuff out before those live sessions. But also, there are times, and I would say certainly for specifically, if you're committing to level 3, that you are able to show up for that particular live session. The Enlightenment Path part of it, one of those live sessions is where I work through your inner world, and I bring members on live to do that. Okay, I would do that with the individual members. It's not something that I force you to do. For Enlightenment Path ones, you can put your hand up, and then I choose from people who have put their hand up as to be that key person that we utilize as their unconscious. Oh, brilliant. So Good on you. So Nydia is going to arrange her schedule accordingly. Okay, so so Jenny, if anyone is on the fence about, please know that soul whispering for clients is incredible. I started using the unconscious to freedom model just a few months ago, and it has already made a huge difference to the quality of my readings and the number of referral bookings I get. If you're called to do it, I will recommend you do it. It's great fun too. Excellent. Okay, brilliant. So thank you for all of your questions. I think I've hopefully answered all those. Looking at those, that's brilliant. So that's fantastic. Thank you for all your questions. Lisa, I hope my question is seen. Okay, so let me just have a little look for your question, Lisa. We'll scroll through and I'll have a little look. Can't see whether you can find it. But some fantastic questions as far as it's concerned. I hope that if it is a calling for you, that you do choose to join Intuition Coaching Mastermind, because I want to help to make you proud, okay? Proud of yourself as an intuitive sensitive, and use it out there, because there are lots who offer stuff and you can do 10 times better. You can do it 10 times better, 10 times more efficiently, 10 times more of a service for people, where you can make it an amazing, amazing difference. But if, it's not a calling for you, but you do want to do the inner work, then by all means, absolutely choose a different level, okay? Lisa's question, would it be different than hypnosis? Because I'm hypnosis certified in addition to being a massage therapist past 11 years. Absolutely, it's different to hypnosis. Absolutely different to hypnosis. I think we've got quite a few hypnotherapists actually who are in different layers of my programs, and hopefully I'm just having a look to see if we've got one on today to see whether they can give you an indication. I can't see one that's on that it is different. Oh yeah, it's not hypnosis. Okay, brilliant. So as I say, if you want to have a look at more details, or you want to have a look at the different levels, because if you think, I'm not sure if level 3 is for me, but I really do fancy it working at a different level, then there's level 1 or level 2 that you can look at as that's something separate. So go and have a look. It's time to decide what it is that you want to do. So go and have a look at heidisawyer.com/coaching. And I very much look forward to working with you. So go and do that now. We absolutely believe in your capacity for empathy gives you a unique perspective. The way we help you access that uniqueness is through developing your intuition and your inner world. When you allow yourself that part of you, life is easy. And remember this will be something that you'll need to remember if you work with me, is your sensitivity is your greatest asset. Bye for now.